Fox News has covered the Coast Guard terrorist, at least to some extent, but not necessarily in a particularly serious fashion either. So Laura Ingraham was talking about it recently, and look at what her take on this extremely serious threat that was thankfully averted actually was.
Now that Smollett's anti-Trump drama has blown up, the media has jumped on the story of that whack job Coast Guard lieutenant who wanted to murder Democrat politicians. This is so predictable, it's almost boring.
Yeah, they're really bored by it. Yeah, talking about a terrorist who was thankfully stopped from killing people, they're jumping on it. And note there, and it's in much more of the video. I don't know how much more of it we'll be able to see, but he is a whack job. And he has mental health problems.
Exactly, and it's essentially code for he's a lone wolf.
It's not his fault.
Or it's just like, this is an isolated case. This is just someone who's not mentally healthy. It's a scapegoat instead of saying, no, we have people out there who are listening to the president and they're being antagonized and they want to carry out the things the president is urging them to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that he said in his writings and how Donald Trump and Fox News have been talking in very similar terms about this. But before that, let's go to a bit of a mashup that Media Matters put together of how various hosts on Fox News in the lead up to the events of this week have been talking about some of the legal challenges to Donald Trump and his presidency.
We are now witnessing a deep state coup. I'll explain in detail. There's no doubt any longer.
We were mocked, Laura, for saying this for all this time, that there is this soft coup against Donald Trump.
They're plotting basically what amounts to a political coup. You heard it right. They're trying to undermine our democracy and create a constitutional crisis.
This is about a full-on assault by the left, the Democratic Party, to absolutely carry out a coup d'etat.
And this doesn't appear to be a witch hunt. It appears to be a silent coup.
They so hate this president and the American people. The FBI agents that tried to undermine Trump in this soft coup.
What is happening here is a coup d'etat.
What I call a soft coup.
A silent coup to get him out of office.
By the way, if it were happening in a less developed country, we'd know exactly what to call it. It's an attempted coup.
If that's true, we have a coup on our hands.
This is an attempted coup d'etat to get rid of the duly elected president of the United States.
We're gonna lose the country.
They want to subvert his administration. They would love to carry out an actual coup d'etat.
Okay, so let's take a look at just a little bit of the writings of this guy. I don't generally like to do that. I want to provide propaganda for them, but I think it's important here in understanding what's going on. So one section, he did a series of searches on his computer, which we know about. And here's a section, he had a hot couple of hours here. What if Trump illegally impeached? Best place in DC to see Congress people. I guess he just wanted to visit his representatives. Where in DC to Congress live? Civil war if Trump impeached. Social Democrats USA. It's Democratic Socialist, buddy. Get the terminology right. So there, he's worried about him being illegally impeached, although of course impeachment is a part of the system. It's not illegal. He's worried about coups. He's worried about starting a civil war. Like he's using the same exact terminology that has been pumped into his brain, hypothetically, many times per day, stretching back a couple of years now.
And whether it's stuff like this or constant rhetoric of so-and-so hates America, you hate America, you hate America. All they have left is fear, 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 fear. Right. To a generation of people who aren't really holding the reins to society anymore. More so, they're keeping us from getting the policies that we need, and they're keeping us from having the world as open, or our society at least as open as it needs to be. And it's really amazing when you see mashups like that, because you really understand, like, the more you hear a message over and over and over again, no matter how ridiculous it is, at some point, it's not gonna seem so ridiculous because you've heard it so many times. And so, when people do things like that, social democrats this, where do these people live? That's encouraged, and it's so obviously encouraged. But the more chaos, the less government can function. So it all benefits people who don't have to suffer the consequences anyway.
Although it's funny you say that in terms of not having to suffer the consequences, because he was Coast Guard. They just suffered the consequences, a month without their pay, if not more, because of how the pay structure was set up. So if anything, this man was directly hit by this financially of Trump's holdout, and yet he still is trying to execute Trump's plans. It's wild.
Right.
Yeah, the cult of personality is a powerful thing. And one thing that I just want to double down on this is that this guy, according to his writings, he was a white supremacist for 30 plus years. So he's been radicalized a long time ago. And if we were to check in with this deranged mind every few years back and see who he hated. It's possible that it fluctuates from time to time. But the fact that he's worried about like social democrats right now and Blumenthal and Waters and Joe Scarborough, that's not the way it had to go. But there are people like that. There are crazy people with 15 high-powered assault rifles and shotguns and handguns, kind of just waiting to be told who they should hate and who they should fear, as you point out, and who they should target. And sometimes they send pipe bombs, and sometimes they check where in DC 2 Congress live. And sometimes they think about, where do Supreme Court justices go, and how do I get an extra seat for Donald Trump on the Supreme Court? Like, those people are out there. So hypothetically, Fox News could stop using apocalyptic language to describe a perfectly legal and historically precedented investigation of illegality in the Trump administration. And Trump could stop calling people in the media the enemy of the people. Do you believe that that is likely to happen?
That they're gonna stop?
In either case. Maybe Tucker Carlson, he likes to be considered a reasonable person.
No, I think they're gonna ride the wave until their audience is not here anymore. I mean, because it's not really, if they switched up the rhetoric, they wouldn't be Fox News anymore. And most of their viewers would then stop watching them. So much to the point, I mean, whenever Fox News holds Trump a little bit critical, their viewers lose their minds, like Chris Wallace when he was talking about the national emergency situation. So it's not, they just want to see what they want to see. And when it comes down to the dollar bill, it's really not in their interest to switch up the rhetoric. And really, when you really look at the motivation with this guy, these people who do things like this believe that they're gonna spark some type of revolution. They're not just doing it because they think like, oh, I'm gonna punish these people and that'll be it. They think that they're gonna influence people to rise up and take back what's theirs or whatever it is that they believe. So it's really not just so simple as people committing violence. It's what they think they're doing with it.
Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.